For this second week is we are going to cover on DNA structure and replication. In that topic we are going to look at DNA structure, fahamkan macam mana DNA structure, dan daripada situ baru awak boleh faham macam mana DNA replication berlaku. Okay, sebab you have to understand the structure because you have to know the directionality of the DNA strand, which is 5' to 3'. Okay, so in order to synthesize DNA, it has to occur from 5 to 3 direction. Kenapa 5 to 3? Daripada situ awak kena faham DNA structure. Okay. And then after that is protein synthesis. So as you know, the function of DNA is to store information. Okay, so in your DNA, in the nucleus, you have many genes that store many information to synthesize many specific different proteins. So this protein can be enzyme, this protein can be hormones, and this protein can be structural proteins, kan? So they have many function, and this function will take part to express the phenotype of that organism. Okay, so that is so that's why after DNA structure is protein synthesis. Information from the DNA is used to synthesize proteins. So before proteins can be synthesized, the instruction from the DNA has to be make it in a shorter form. Sebab DNA adalah molekul yang sangat besar dalam nukleus. Okay, so for protein synthesis to occur, the process occurs in the cytoplasm. So the whole of the DNA cannot move out from the nucleus into the cytoplasm. Okay, so that's why the information from the DNA has to be copied in a smaller form. Okay, which is it involves the synthesis of mRNA, messenger RNA. So what is the function of this mRNA? It is a smaller molecule that copies the information of that DNA. Okay, and this smaller molecule, which is mRNA, can exit the nucleus and enter into the cytoplasm, and it goes to the ribosome to synthesize the protein. You know, kita orang belajar SEM 1 dulu organelles, kan? So the organelles that involved in protein synthesis is ribosome. Okay, so ribosome will take part in the protein synthesis process. So for protein synthesis, it includes two major processes, which is transcription and also translation. Transcription is to copy information from DNA into mRNA. Transcribe, copy the information. So once mRNA has been synthesized, then only translation can occur. Translate information yang dah dia copy tadi into proteins. Faham? So that is transcription and translation. Transcription, copy information. Translation, use that information to synthesize the protein. So basically, transcription will occur in the nucleus. Translation will occur in the cytoplasm. Okay, synthesis of protein can only occur in the cytoplasm, because in the cytoplasm you will have the ribosome, you have the abundance of amino acids to synthesize the polynucleotides before it can become specific proteins, okay, that carry out specific function. And then after that, we are going to look at gene regulation and also expression. So lepas awak dah faham, okay, DNA ni fungsi dia adalah untuk store information. Okay, untuk store information. Apa nama? Lepas tu information tu digunakan untuk menghasilkan protein. So lepas tu baru kita boleh tengok, okay, macam mana sebenarnya, apa faktor sebenarnya yang mempengaruhi sesuatu gene tu boleh menghasilkan protein. Faham? Itu adalah gene regulation and expression. Okay, so for this gene regulation and expression, we are going to look at the expression of gene, certain genes, okay, certain region of the bacterial chromosome to synthesize different enzymes, okay, from this one strands of mRNA. Itu kita akan tengok like operon. Okay, kat sini. Sekejap. So kat sini kita akan tengok dan fahamkan pasal like operon. Okay, like operon. So like operon ni adalah a segment of bacterial DNA that involve in the synthesis of three different enzymes, okay, three different enzymes that is involved in the hydrolysis and breakdown of lactose. Okay, kenapa dia nak breakdown lactose? Sebab bacteria ni, which is E. coli, will use the lactose, will break down the lactose into apa monomers untuk lactose ni? Galactose dengan glucose. So once lactose has been hydrolyzed into galactose and glucose, so then only the bacteria can use these monomers for its cellular respiration to generate energy lah, so that it allows the bacteria to live on. Okay, and then after that is mutation. Yang ni kita akan tengok large scale mutation, small scale mutation, kan, jenis mutation, and also genetic disorders that will cause that is due to mutation. Okay, genetic disorder that is due to mutation. Contoh yang paling senang adalah Down syndrome lah, kan. So Down syndrome at chromosome 21, the person will have an extra one chromosome. So chromosome 21 will have 3 chromosomes instead of the 2 normal chromosome for each one. Kita manusia ni, kita ada 23 pairs of 23 pairs of homologous chromosome. Okay, 23 pairs of homologous chromosome. So total kita ada 46 chromosomes. Tapi kalau Down syndrome dia akan ada 47 chromosome, sebab kromosom yang ke-21 ada 3 kromosom. Itu contoh genetic disorder lah. Okay. So and then population genetics. Okay, so population genetic ni ada pengiraan sikit lah kat situ, kan. So ini adalah part dalam biologi yang mana bila test nanti awak kena ada calculator. Itu je. Okay, untuk awak kira, unless awak terror, awak boleh congak lah. So dia ada 2 formula kat sini. P squared plus 2PQ plus Q squared equals to 1. Okay, so another formula is P plus Q equals to 1. So ini adalah 2 formula yang awak kena hafal dan tahu macam mana nak guna dia. Okay, so soalan kat sini nanti dia akan bagi macam satu situation. So dia suruh awak untuk determine, for example, frequency of dominant allele, frequency of recessive allele, frequency of homozygous dominant, frequency of heterozygous, frequency of homozygous recessive, ataupun berapa bilangan individu untuk certain phenotype or genotype. So daripada formula tu, daripada soalan tu awak boleh guna formula ni. Ini awak kena tahu macam mana nak guna formula ni, sebab soalan untuk yang akan keluar untuk part ni dia tak sama. You cannot hafal, you have to understand. Genetik ni adalah chapter yang mana awak jangan hafal. Hafal awak memang tak faham. Kena fahamkan chapter ni. Then only you can answer the question. Kalau tengok soalan dekat workbook tu, banyak soalan applied, kan. So bila soalan dalam exam keluar dan dia banyak soalan applied, maksudnya tak guna awak hafal tanpa faham. You have to understand the topic in order for you to understand the questions. Itu je. Okay, jangan hafal, fahamkan baru awak boleh ingat-ingat poin-poin yang penting. Belajar bio tu jangan saya, jangan hafal tanpa awak faham. Okay, banyak misconception bio ni baca hafal je, tak, awak kena fahamkan. Bila soalan tu twist sikit, you cannot answer the questions kalau hafal tanpa faham. Okay, so these are the learning objectives. Ini awak boleh tengok lah, kan. So kena tahu terms in genetics, describe Mendel's principles tu ada 2 law kat situ, law of segregation and law of independent assortment. So kena fahamkan kenapa ada 2 law ni, law of segregation and law of independent assortment. So dia berkaitan dengan apa jadi dekat kromosom masa dia alami proses meiosis 1 and also meiosis 2 akan memberi impact pada apa yang berlaku semasa dan dia akan contribute pada 2 law ni lah, law of segregation and law of independent assortment. Tu kita akan tengok nanti. Saya harap awak dah tengok, awak dah buat opening notes dan awak boleh fahamkan apa yang berlaku. Segregation maksudnya homologous chromosome during meiosis 1 kan will cause homologous chromosome to separate. Masa bila? Masa anaphase 1 kan, homologous chromosome will segregate. Itu maksudnya law of segregation. Segregate then brings the alleles from a gene apart. So the alleles of the gene akan end up in different gametes. So that is law of segregation. Law of independent assortment berlaku masa bila? Berlaku masa meiosis 1 kan, meiosis 1 masa metaphase 1. So you have many chromosome. Kita ada berapa? Kita ada 23 pair, 20 pairs of homologous chromosome. So these 20 pairs of homologous chromosome will assort dengan bermacam-macam pattern. Faham? Will assort independently of one another. So dia boleh susun bermacam-macam cara dan dia akan contribute kepada independent assortment. Okay? So daripada situ dia akan menghasilkan different combinations of alleles from different genes. Okay, so itu adalah independent assortment. Alright, so dia dipengaruhi oleh proses masa metaphase 1, segregation masa anaphase 1. Okay. So number 3, explain examples of extended Mendelian genetics. So yang ini, okay, awak tahu kalau Mendel bila genotype tu ada dominant and recessive allele, dia dalam keadaan heterozygous. So maksudnya genotype tu akan express dominant phenotype. Tapi kalau extended Mendelian genetics, dia lari daripada Mendel's punya syarat tu. Okay, so contohnya kalau dalam keadaan heterozygous, dia boleh hasilkan new phenotype that is different from the parents. Contohnya awak kacukkan bunga merah dengan bunga putih. Kalau dalam keadaan heterozygous, dia akan hasilkan dominant phenotype kan, which is bunga merah. Tapi kalau dia ikut incomplete dominance, so dia akan jadi warna bunga pink. Faham? Okay. So that is extended Mendelian genetics. Dia tak follow apa yang Mendel cakap. Okay, dia tak, kalau ada dominant allele, dia tak semestinya akan express dominant phenotype. Dia akan hasilkan phenotype yang baru yang berbeza daripada parents punya phenotype. That is Mendelian, extended of Mendelian genetics. Dia ada banyak inheritance kat situ. Kita ada codominance, contohnya blood type, okay, codominance. Kita ada incomplete dominance tadi. Kita ada ephistasis, and then we also have multiple alleles and polygenic inheritance. And also ephistasis, saya dah cakap kan, ephistasis, okay. So that one you have to really understand, sebab soalan akan keluar soalan applied. Okay, so dia akan bagi situation and you have to apply your knowledge in order to get the answer. Okay, dia bukan hafal. Alright. Semata-mata macam proses. Okay, kalau kita tengok chapter cardiovascular kan, dia tanya struktur jantung. Itu je lah struktur jantung dia, faham tak? Awak kena tahu ventricle yang mana, atrium yang mana, right ventricle, left ventricle, yang mana lagi tick, itu je. You hafal, awak fahamkan dan hafal. Tapi kalau genetik tak, you have to understand the topics in order for you to be able to understand the different type of question yang boleh keluar tu. Okay, sebab dia banyak bagi situation kat situ, applied questions. Okay, number 4, describe human pedigree analysis. Ini pun, dia ada family tree and then you have to trace the inheritance of dominant character and also the inheritance of recessive character. Okay, trait lah kan. And then number 5, describe in brief the structure of DNA double helix. Ini sebenarnya kita dah tengok masa chapter 1, sem 1. Okay, macromolecules. Ini sebenarnya nak recap balik je. Alright. And then number 6, cite evidence of Mendelssohn and Stolz experiment regarding DNA replication. So yeah, these two scientists are the scientists that carry out experiment using E. coli, which is bacteria, to prove that DNA replication occurs according to semi-conservative model. DNA replication dia ada 3 proposed model. Okay, 3 proposed model. One is conservative model, the second one is semi-conservative model, and the third one is this dispersive model. Okay, so which one is the model that actually occurs so that DNA replication can occur lah kan? Which models does DNA replication follow? Okay, is it conservative? Is it semi-conservative? Is it dispersive? So these two scientists, they buat eksperimen to prove that DNA replication occurs according to semi-conservative model, not the conservative model and not the dispersive model. Okay. So those itu adalah Michelson and Salk punya eksperimen, awak kena fahamkan. And then number 7, describe DNA replication. So to synthesize DNA, DNA replication dia melibatkan it involve the synthesis of 2 different types of strand, which is the leading strand and the lagging strand. So kenapa panggil lagging, kita akan fahamkan nantilah. Kenapa leading juga. Okay, kenapa leading synthesize the new DNA strand continuously. Kenapa boleh continuous? Kenapa lagging strand dia akan synthesize in fragments, which is Okazaki fragments. That one you have to understand lah kenapa. And then number 8, explain the nature of genetic code. Yang ini kena fahamkan apa tu codon kan. Codon pada DNA, codon pada mRNA. So codon for mRNA in the mRNA will code for specific amino acid that is used until it can synthesize proteins. Okay, proteins or polypeptide with different sequence of amino acids. Okay, so daripada genetic code ni dia akan synthesize protein with different sequence of amino acids. Yang genetic code ni awak kena fahamkan macam mana nak menggunakan codon, mRNA codon table tu. Okay, mRNA codon table to determine the sequence of amino acid of polypeptide. Itu. Okay. So number 9, explain the process of protein synthesis. So protein synthesis, as I said, it involves 2 processes, which is transcription and also translation. Okay, transcription and translation. Transcript copies the information from DNA into smaller molecules, which is mRNA, and then mRNA can exit the nucleus and enters into the cytoplasm to synthesize the protein through the process of translation. Dia berangkumi 2 proses, transcription and also translation. And then number 10, explain the concept of operon and gene regulation. So the operon that we are going to look at is like operon lah. Okay. So like operon ni adalah a segment of bacterial DNA that can only be activated in certain situation. Okay. There are 2 possible situation kat sini, which is absence of lactose and presence of lactose. So apa jadi bila lactose ada pada like operon, apa jadi pada like operon tu bila tak ada lactose. Apa jadi bila ada, apa jadi bila tak ada pada like operon ni. You have to explain when is the like operon will be switched on, when is the like operon will be switched off. Okay, so if the like operon is switched on, it can synthesize enzymes that can hydrolyze lactose. If the like operon is switched off, okay, so then the like operon cannot synthesize enzyme to break down or hydrolyze the lactose. So lactose ni perlu dihydrolyzekan kepada dia punya monomer, galactose and also glucose, so that the bacteria can use this monomer to carry out cellular respiration, okay, to generate energy for the bacteria to live on lah. And then number 2, define mutation. So you have to know what is mutation, the different types of mutation, the different types of genetic disorder that is due to mutation of the DNA or the chromosomes. Okay, and then the last one is the topic on gene population lah kan. So gene population, awak kena tahu apa tu gene population. So ada formula sikit awak kena fahamkan dan apply kan. Okay, and then explain factors that changes frequency and population. So factors ni dia file dan fahamkan lah. So ada 5 different factors. Okay, so kita akan tengok what are the factors that will influence or maintain a certain population to be in a Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Okay. Okay. So saya nak tanya semua orang, so far okay ke? Genetik ni chapter yang sangat besar, dia adalah chapter yang besar lah untuk berbanding dengan chapter-chapter lain semester ni. Dia 3 minggu kita belajar. Chapter lain 2 minggu. So far yang awak tengok video daripada YouTube, faham tak? Ke saya bercakap seorang-seorang sekarang ni?
Ada yang faham, ada yang tak faham.
Faham.
Faham. Okay. So this is the first part lah. So terms in genetics. Okay, so basically if you have watched all the videos, especially in this part, terms in genetics, in order for you to understand the whole topic, you have to understand these terms first. Okay, so what is genetics? Genetics is the scientific study of heredity, includes genetic similarities and genetic variation. Variation is difference, okay, perbezaan between parents and offspring or among individuals of a population. So kalau tengok ciri mak dengan ayah awak, kan, bila dia dapat awak dengan adik-beradik, you all look different. Okay, so this is genetic, tapi ada ciri persamaan juga, kan, ada ciri persamaan yang awak inherit daripada mak awak, ada ciri persamaan yang awak inherit daripada ayah awak, maybe rambut, jenis rambut yang sama, kulit yang sama, hidung, kan. So all these are due to genetics, kan. So genetik juga akan terlibat dalam the inheritance of certain genetic disease, contohnya, kan. So contohnya kalau ada keturunan yang ada albino, kan, albino. So maybe you are the carrier. So if you marry your partner later, and then your partner dia show normal character, faham? Normal character. Dia ada skin pigmentation, kulit dia okey, tapi bila awak dapat anak, awak ada anak yang albino contoh. So ini disebabkan oleh you are both heterozygous, carry the recessive allele. Itu adalah genetik lah. Certain traits that are inherited from parents or even from the generation before. Okay, so dia akan bagi influence terhadap pewarisan tu, the heredity of certain traits. Okay. So heredity or inheritance, the transmission of genetic information from parents to offspring. Okay, daripada parents to offspring sampai ke anak cucu, daripada grandparents and all that. Yeah. So all these genetic information are passed from generation to generation. Okay. So genes, which is a segment of DNA that serves as a unit of heredity information, it includes a transcribable DNA sequence that yields a protein or RNA products within a specific with a specific function. So it determines or affects an organism DNA. So kalau awak tengok, kalau awak faham, okay. So kita ada sel. Dalam sel ada nukleus. Dalam nukleus ada banyak kromosom. Kan, ada banyak kromosom. Kita ada 23 pair, 23 pairs of chromosome. So let's say lah, so saya buat di dalam bentuk helical lah. So kalau punya kromosom, punya DNA ni ada banyak gene. So gene yang 1, gene 1, gene 2, gene 3 for example, kan. So all these gene, okay, will code for certain information, okay, that expresses certain phenotypes. Okay, contohnya gene yang mengawal punya skin color, gene that controls your eye color, genes that control your height, gene that controls your hair color or type of hair, ada rambut lurus ke, rambut ikal ke, rambut pinting ke, all those phenotypes, okay, are controlled by genes in your DNA. Okay, so it determines your trait, okay, that you inherit from your parents. Okay, so locus. or gene locus, which is a specific place along the length of a chromosome where a specific gene is located. So ini chromosome, okay, homologous chromosome. Okay. So ini kromosom 1 contoh, kromosom 2. Okay. So dekat sini adalah gene untuk control hair color contoh. So position dia dekat kromosom 1 yang bahagian atas sister kromatik ni. Okay. So dia adalah location dia, locus kita panggil dia. Kat sini maybe ada gene untuk control your eye color for example. Okay, so the position of the gene along the chromosome we call it as locus. Okay, specific place for a gene along a chromosome. Okay, so allele, alternative forms of a gene have different base sequence. So gene covering variation of the same character that occupies corresponding loci or position on homologous chromosome may produce different phenotypic effects. Okay, contohnya tadi apa nama? Ada kromosom yang a pair of homologous chromosome. Okay, ini adalah gene yang kawal contohnya hair color. Okay, let's say awak punya mak orang putih, so rambut dia blonde. Okay, so blonde dikawal oleh apa nama? Recessive allele. So your father is Asian contohlah black hair. So dia black hair. Jadi black. Okay, black hair. Okay, so capital B. So you can inherit one allele from both parents. So kita ada capital B allele, small b allele. So itu adalah allele. Allele adalah alternative form of a gene that produces different phenotypes for a certain character. Kan? So character tu apa? Hair color, skin color, eye color tu character. So each character will have alleles yang akan menghasilkan phenotype yang berbeza. Okay? Different phenotypic effects. Itu adalah alleles. Alright? So ini adalah contoh tadi lah sama je. Okay, so you have homologous chromosomes of a pea plant. Okay, so as you can see this homologous chromosome. So these are homologous chromosome. Okay, so these are homologous chromosome. So dekat locus ini ada gene yang kawal karakter flower color. Okay, flower color gene. So ada dua jenis allele. Capital P allele, small p allele. Capital P allele will express the dominant phenotype which is purple flower. Recessive P allele, small p, will express white flower. So individu flower ni dia akan exhibit dominant phenotype which is purple tapi dia dalam keadaan apa? Heterozygous. Dia ada dominant P allele, dia ada recessive small p allele. Dia adalah heterozygous individual. Okay, so kat sini ada capital P, small p. Okay, so bila allele tu dia expresses different phenotype adalah disebabkan oleh apa? Oleh sequence dekat gene tu yang berbeza. Okay, sequence yang berbeza sikit, dia berbeza sikit. Awak tengok, kalau capital P dia ada sequence dia macam ni. CTAA, TC, GGT. Tapi kalau untuk yang recessive allele, recessive ni selalunya disebabkan oleh macam contohnya mutation. Mutation berlaku dan menukarkan, it changes the cytosine into adenine. It changes the base sequence. So when it changes the base sequence, it produces an alternative form of alleles, okay, that produces different phenotype. So sepatutnya dia menghasilkan purple flowers disebabkan oleh segment of this DNA, the gene can produce enzyme that can synthesize purple pigment. Tapi bila berlaku mutation, dia tukarkan sequence tu, langsung tak boleh hasilkan enzyme. So enzyme tak ada untuk hasilkan pigment. Okay, untuk hasilkan pigment purple flower ni. Tapi disebabkan oleh ada juga enzim yang terhasil, so means that the flower can still exhibit purple phenotype. Faham tak? Itu kalau dia follow Mendel lah kan, Mendel. Dia ada dominant phenotype and recessive phenotype. The dominant phenotype can still produces enzyme to produce purple pigment. Tapi yang recessive ni tak ada enzyme. Tapi still the organism can still produce purple pigment. But this individual is heterozygous. Okay, capital P, small p. It has the dominant P allow to produce the enzyme to produce the pigment. Okay, ini tak functional lah. It cannot produce any enzyme. Okay. So that is term-terms yang awak kena faham. Allows, locus, gene, heterozygous, homozygous, tu semua you have to understand. Okay, so character, which is an attribute or characteristics of an organism. So character lah, apa-apa character. Kita kalau human, kita ada eye color, hair color, height, weight, all that. Okay, so that is character. So trait adalah perbezaan karakter yang tadi tu. So hair color, kita ada blonde, kita ada brunette, kita ada black, kita ada ginger hair color. So itu adalah trait, phenotype. Okay, different variation, different variants. Okay, perbezaan trait yang terhasil daripada karakter tadi tu. Okay, kalau flower color, flower color adalah karakter. Okay, trait dia ada bermacam-macam. Boleh hasilkan bunga warna merah, bunga warna putih, bunga warna pink, bunga warna orange, kan, bunga raya as you know, kan. So bunga raya ada macam-macam color, ada warna putih, kan. So all that are different traits for the character flower color. Okay. So kalau and then next is a wild type. So the phenotype most commonly observed in natural populations. Okay. So itu adalah wild type. Original genotype and phenotype sebelum berlakunya mutation. Okay, mutation akan berlaku dan menghasilkan pelbagai alel yang akan menghasilkan pelbagai phenotype yang baru. Okay, so wild type adalah yang original dia. Faham? Kalau macam kita, contohnya kita, yang original kita bukan macam ni sebenarnya, kan? So maybe yang original kita dulu daripada kita punya ancestors, maybe daripada orang asli contohnya, kan? So dia dah migrate, dia dah berjalan, dia dah mengalami mutation, dia exposed to different factors, kan? So dia akan menghasilkan alleles, different variations of allele that produces different new traits. Itu wild type, yang original, yang asal, yang ancestors dia, yang commonly kalau yang paling senang nak cakap, dia adalah yang paling banyak di observe lah, contohnya. Okay, the phenotype most commonly observed in natural population, yang asal, yang tak ada dipengaruhi oleh banyak-banyak environmental factors contoh. Okay. So these are ini contohlah untuk the 7 characters studied by Mendel. Okay, 7 characters studied by Mendel, yang ini adalah contoh untuk 3. Okay, character flower color. So dia punya trait either purple or white. Okay, dominant trait is purple, white trait is recessive. Flower position, okay, adalah karakter. Dia punya trait dia axial or terminal. Okay, seed color, so the dominant trait or recessive trait, yellow or green, contoh. Okay. So ini genotype lah. So genotype, phenotype. So dah tahu dah genotype yang capital A kan hasilkan dominant phenotype, recessive phenotype, small a itu adalah genotype lah, genotype. The genetic makeup or combinations of allele in an individual. Tadilah. Contohnya purple flower, capital P. Okay, small p. Itu adalah genetic makeup, the alleles, different combinations of alleles. Phenotype, the observable physical and physiological trait of an organism are determined by its genetic makeup. So phenotype dia apa? Purple, white. Okay. Dominant allele produces the phenotypic characteristics in the presence of homozygous or heterozygous condition. So ini adalah dominant phenotype lah kan. So sama ada dalam keadaan homozygous dominant kan ataupun heterozygous, so it expresses the dominant phenotype. Kalau recessive allele, the phenotypic characteristics of a recessive allele is not expressed in the heterozygous condition. So kalau capital P small p, dia tak hasilkan white flower kan, dia hasilkan purple. Okay. Sebab apa? The recessive allele is covered or masked by the dominant allele. Okay. It is not expressed in the heterozygous condition. So homozygous having two identical alleles for a given gene. So kita ada dua jenis, homozygous dominant and also homozygous recessive. So homozygous dominant contohnya ni lah, capital B produces black hair. Homozygous recessive small b produces blonde hair. Okay, so heterozygous having two different alleles for a given gene, yang ni lah, dan dua different allele untuk gene yang sama lah kan. Dominant allele and recessive allele produces black hair. Ini kalau dia follow Mendel. Kalau dia follow incomplete dominance, jadi apa? Warna rambut yang berbeza lah. Maybe rambut yang tak berapa nak black lah macam tu kan. Dia tak ada, kita tak adalah grey hair kat situ, okay? Tak berapa nak hitam kat situ. Okay, so the which is the observable trait is determined by the dominant alleles which mask or not express or covers the effects of recessive allele on a particular trait. Okay, so heterozygous kalau dia ada je dominant allele, dia akan express the dominant trait. So ini adalah table lah untuk summarize yang tadi genotype homozygous dominant, okay, homozygous dominant, heterozygous, homozygous recessive. So black hair produces black hair also, dominant phenotype, and produces blonde hair. So awak tengok kat sini gambar ni kan, awak tengok couple, this is a mixed race couple. Awak tengok mak dia kulit cerah, bapa dia has a darker skin tone kan, so it is mixed race family. So dia dapat two sets of twin, okay, two sets of twin. So yang the elder twin kat sini dia ada yang pertama ni darker skin tone, yang ni cerah, ini cerah, yang ni gelap darker skin tone. So kenapa boleh jadi macam ni? Kalau ikutkan mak dia kulit cerah kan, so kita bagi dia small a. Bapa dia capital A, hasilkan banyak pigment melanin. So anak dia sepatutnya sinilah kan. So macam mana dia boleh hasilkan anak yang ada twins, yang ada different skin tone kat sini?
Sebab bapak dia heterozygous. Bapak dia heterozygous.
Bapak dia heterozygous, mak dia?
Mak dia homozygous dan recessive. No. Betul.
Okay. Kalau sebenarnya kenapa dia boleh jadi macam ni? Sebenarnya mak dengan ayah dia ni adalah asalnya daripada mixed race family juga. Faham? Mixed race family. Mak dia asal daripada mixed race family, bapak dia pun ada mixed race family. Ada belajar pasal polygenic inheritance kan? So polygenic inheritance dikawal oleh banyak genes. Okay, banyak genes. So maybe mak dia ni dalam keadaan heterozygous for certain genes, bapak dia pun dalam keadaan heterozygous for certain genes. Okay? So dia banyak genes. So mak dia ada recessive allele juga, mak dia ada dominant allele juga sebenarnya. Bapak dia pun ada recessive allele juga. So dia boleh hasilkan twins yang boleh inherit macam tu. Yang dia boleh inherit yang the dominant allele and also the recessive allele. Dalam keadaan homozygous dominant, dalam keadaan homozygous recessive juga. So parents ni sebenarnya adalah daripada mixed race family juga, yang mana dia ada dominant allele, ini pun ada recessive allele. Faham?
Faham.
Okay.